My roommate told me that I should watch Baby Reindeer, and I don't watch much Netflix, so I decided to, one night I was just chilling out, I had a couple hours to kill, so I ended up binging the entire season in one night, which is very uncharacteristic of me. But I was very fascinated because at a surface level, this is a tale of a man who's dealing with an obsessed stalker in his life. But underneath the surface, as you look a little bit deeper into this series, you'll see the story of a real life story of Richard Gadd's experience with this stalker, but deeper down dealing with a man's interpretation of his own low self-worth, a man being on autopilot because of his low self-worth due to things like sexual abuse, due to things like wanting validation and fame outside of himself. A lot of people, as I was speaking to, only saw the surface level, the stalker level relationship of this series. But for me, being an advocate for men's mental health, I zeroed completely in on his mentality and his experiences. And I felt really bad for it. It was quite emotional, and I felt like that was the most powerful part of this series, was really watching his mental health and his resiliency just being tested consistently over and over again. We see him dealing with this stalker on a daily basis, in and out, but deep down we really see the effects of the sexual abuse that happened to him, which that story does unravel a little bit further in this series. At a surface level, it may appear that his stalker is his monster, but his monster is really the monster that is within, that has been brewing since his early days of sexual abuse with someone in a position of power who he trusted very well because he was the key to unlock the fame that he was looking for, the fame that was going to soothe his lack of self-worth, his lack of self-love. After being sexually abused, you see how his life had uncovered as he tried to figure out a meaning for that sexual abuse, a way to blame himself for that sexual abuse and to make sense of it. So you're seeing him having a lot of promiscuous sex with a lot of men and a lot of women. And this is very common in real life as men try to soothe their pain, as men try to find ways to avoid their pain by acting tough and pretending like everything's okay, by going overly and hyperly into sexual activities, promiscuous sexual activities, to mask that sexual abuse in their past. Recognizing your own fear and your own monsters is the first step to self-awareness and to getting better. But we really see in Baby Reindeer what happens to Richard when he ignores these signs within himself. There's also the storyline of Richard not reporting the stalker who's in his life until many months later. And when the detective at the precinct asks him, "Why didn't you report this earlier?" it brings up all the trauma of his past of him being sexually assaulted. And the connection here was that his stalker, no matter how creepy she was, no matter how crazy she was, and we all felt uncomfortable when we watched him getting stalked and getting text incessantly. He allowed this to happen to himself because she at least made him feel how he wanted to feel originally as a performer, as a comedian. She adored him, she gave him all the attention that he wanted, and deep down in a very twisted way, he knew that she was not good for him. He knew that this was going to be dangerous, but he kept it going on because she helped him feel alive, and she helped him feel in a very strange and toxic way how he thought he wanted him to feel. Now, when a man has no solid grounding as into who he is and who he wants to be, he is often led externally and can be led astray by things like who he thinks he wants to be, who society tells him he wants to be, and then he will align to that instead of aligning really what's within his truth. Now, every good series shows hope for the protagonist, and we see glimmers of that hope. Although it's just one season, I'm really curious to see what happens in future seasons as he continues to work on his trauma, as he continues to work on his boundaries and his ability to say no and to keep his stalker away. So there again, Baby Reindeer is not just a series about stalking, it's actually a story about one man's self-worth, his relationship with himself, his relationship with past trauma and sexual abuse, and him figuring himself a way out of that. What this show can teach us is to continue to face our monsters no matter how dark and deep they are, instead of trying to find other monsters to make us feel soothed in that place of comfort where we were. Remember that facing your monsters, revealing your own self-awareness to yourself is the only way out of this vicious cycle of traumatic repeating. Seeking self-awareness and seeking rebirth is our only way out of this. Now, if you're struggling with any of the things that were discussed in this video, depression, low self-worth, anxiety, Please comment below. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and connect with me. I'd be happy to chat with you. Let me know if you like this, if you want me to review other types of shows and movies that have the underlying themes around men's mental health and masculinity, low self-worth, things of that matter. Please let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this video and to this channel. It would really help me grow and it would help me become more consistent with this, as I'm doing what I love, and that's providing value by sharing my wisdom, sharing my knowledge, sharing my experiences with y'all. So with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next video.